Lando Norris didn't set a foot wrong in Australia, except for one little detour, and won the first race of the 2025 Formula 1 season. It seems like all the things that held him back in the past have disappeared. Lando Norris has it all this season to see him become the world champion. Will he keep rising to the occasion? I'm Wimbo. Here's 3 seconds to leave a like. Lando Norris confidently won the Australian Grand Prix. The issues that plagued him in the past were nowhere to be seen. Now, if you don't remember what his pitfalls were in the past years, and especially last season, let's go through them all one by one. Let's start at the start. Yes, his starts were poor last season. He kept losing positions. If it wasn't to Verstappen, his biggest rival, then it was to Piastri, his second biggest rival. Even George Russell passed him a few times. Sometimes at the initial start, sometimes at the second part of the start, and sometimes a few turns later.
Surprise, motherfucker!
It got to a point where it was expected that he would concede a few positions, to then later catch up. It probably made him a little insecure at times as well, which made the competition more confident. Well, that seems to be over now. His next problem was a slow car for many years. It was only 2 years ago that McLaren was the slowest in Bahrain. These issues made Norris do 6 pit stops or something, and they were slow for many more races. That started to change at the end of 2023, and after a slow start for the team in 2024, they became the quickest team. They are the fastest cars on track now. Another problem was indecisiveness in the car when it came to strategy. Communication was often difficult, and many races were lost due to poor choices. A lot of the time they reacted too late to what happened on track and paid the price for it. You can't do anything wrong when you're fighting Max Verstappen and Red Bull, as they will grab the opportunity with both hands. This went a lot better in Australia. I'll talk about it more in the next chapter. Norris was also prone to making mistakes under pressure. This is where the famous bottler reputation comes from. He lost quite a few races from good starting positions by going off track or other shenanigans. His nerves always played a big part in his performance that way. In Australia he was cool as a cucumber. And one last thing bothered him last season a few times. And it's not a thing actually. It was his Australian teammate Oscar Piastri. At McLaren they have 2 number 1 drivers, as they like to brag about. And that means that Oscar got in the way of Norris scoring maximum points a few times. Well, in fact, the Aussie only scored 2 points in his home race, so that should make a difference too. In the next chapter I'll explain what has changed and why Norris has it all now. Lando Norris had an amazing start and a handful of amazing restarts in Melbourne. Nobody even came close. Not even Verstappen on medium tyres at some point. Now, I know the car is great, well balanced and fast, but in those conditions, a little wobble can make you lose out big time. I don't know if Norris practiced a lot, or he got the team to make changes on his settings, or both, but this looked way better than last season. As a Max fan, this is not what I wanted to see. But then again, I can cope with Verstappen not winning, and I may have to get used to it, because McLaren, under the technical leadership of Rob Marshall, has built a rocket ship. This was so clear during qualifying and the race. Verstappen was almost 4 tenths behind Norris in qualifying on Saturday, and Jos Verstappen lost €500 to Helmut Marko because he expected it to be more. The days of starting slow and building up and finding performance slowly have gone, and they are the benchmark now. Quite impressive really. Zak Brown, as CEO, has pushed McLaren forward on track to get more sponsors, better staff, solid drivers, and now the best car. He is a fierce competitor, but I do respect that. So the next thing is the strategy and the inability to make good decisions under pressure. Now, the biggest example of that was in Russia in 2021. Norris didn't know there was that much rain still coming and stayed out and got caught out and slipped off track. Lewis Hamilton won. This race down under had elements of that race too. A little heavy shower was expected around 20 laps before the finish, and it was Lando Norris himself who said clearly that he didn't want to wait to pit until the track was already too wet, or something along that line. I'm paraphrasing here. and they did pit him before the shit hit the fan. And that was a good call. Both McLaren drivers had a trip off track, even on inters, so it was clear to see how risky it was. The track was slippery as hell. Piastri got caught on the grass and only finished 9th after he did manage to get himself out by slowly reversing backwards. So clearly, Lando has learned from the past and with his decisions prevented another loss. Respect. Talking about Oscar Piastri, he is the other number 1 driver, right? Well, not if he's too far behind in the standings. I'm sure McLaren's papaya rules state that you need to earn number 1 status, and I doubt they'll let Piastri race Norris if the gap gets any bigger. That would be very silly. So the only way for Norris to keep his teammate at bay is to keep beating him. He did in quali and he did big time in the race. So, all is looking good for Lando Norris now, and after one race we can already say that it's his championship to lose. He has it all now, the full package. How do you think he'll get on the rest of the season? Here are my thoughts. Okay, it's only been one race and we're already crowning him as the new world champion. We still have 23 races to go. I think Red Bull will get a better package soon. And with that better package and certain tracks that might suit Red Bull better, Melbourne hasn't been kind to Verstappen in the past, we'll see closer battles. And that will put the pressure on a lot more. Norris drove a perfect race in Abu Dhabi last season and continued here in Australia. But will he be able to do that consistently? I know there's no driver out there as consistent as Max Verstappen. He finished P2, so only a 7-point swing for Norris. I'm convinced he will keep the pressure on, and it remains to be seen if any of the issues I mentioned earlier in this video will return. And if one returns, will they all pop up again? My gut feeling says that if Red Bull comes closer, McLaren will develop more aggressively, and then they'll reach that plateau too. If Verstappen gets a run of say 8 races where he has the faster package, he'll almost be guaranteed to win all of them. And then it gets a lot harder for Norris, who was only in a semi-championship battle last year. Will he be able to keep performing when the performance swings from McLaren to Red Bull and back? That's definitely something to keep an eye on in this already brilliant season. If we get through the season without too much toxicity and cheating claims, and Norris wins, then I can totally live with that. So far, it's 1-0 for Team Norris. Let's see how it develops. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. And if you want special content or early access to my stuff, the option to become a member is open. Take care now. Doei doei.